Are you ready, kids?
Aye, aye, Captain!
I can't hear you.
Aye, aye, Captain!
Oh!
Hi everyone! Do you ever wondered why do we have to use learning activities in the classroom setup? Well, we can answer that question by understanding learning activities and the classroom setup. Classroom setup can dramatically affect students' attitude towards and habits of learning. Students need an environment that is organized, stimulating, and comfortable in order to learn effectively. Creating such an environment entails arranging a practical physical layout, supplying diverse materials and supplies, and encouraging students to have a sense of belonging and ownership. While active learning is not a new concept, besides, Mayers and Jones said that it derived from the two basic assumptions. Number one, that learning is by nature an active endeavor. And number two, that different people learn in different ways. When we discuss active learning in the classroom, it is with the understanding that lecture is still important. The foundational knowledge required for students to be able to engage in higher level thinking is essential. However, for the sake of maintaining students' interest and facilitating meaningful and eventually self-directed learning, it can be very helpful to vary the teaching and learning activities you employ in the classroom. It is likely that you are already using teaching and learning techniques that help students to engage actively with the concepts you are teaching. And there are still more ways to expand the learning experiences you create. Some very low risk, some more complex, but all can be effective, especially if you establish this pattern of interaction from the first day of your course. Let us recall our last lesson about learning activities.
Learning activity are activities designed or deployed by the teacher to bring about or create the conditions for learning.
Determining appropriate learning activities. Once you have established your broad course objectives and considered how you will evaluate progress, you need to think about the learning activities you will employ to enable students to achieve those objectives. The learning activities used should provide students the opportunity to develop the skills that they need to demonstrate mastery of the material.
Types of learning activities includes introductory or preliminary or opening activities, developmental activities, and concluding activities. Number 1. Introductory activities. These activities that is usually done at the start of the year or at the start of every lesson. These activities are supposed to serve as starters or as unfreezing activities to make the students feel at ease, to motivate them to participate, and to set the tone of the day. Opening activities serves as launching for the today's lesson. Activities can come in the form of games, actions, energizers such as simulation, brain teasers, puzzles, song analysis, skits or role-playing, anecdote or storytelling, and posing questions to the learners.
Number 2. Developmental activities. Activities that focus on the concepts and data needed to move toward the main idea or generalization. This is the most fundamental level because developmental activities involve change. This change must be cumulative and systematic. Random change is not considered to be developmental in nature. Here are some examples of activities.
A. Data gathering activities. Interview, library research, internet research, reading, lecture, field trip, experiment, panel discussion, case study. B. Organizing and summarizing activities. Using graphic organizers, jingles, rap, song making, versus acrostics, PowerPoint presentation. C. Application or creative activities. Application activities. Activities done during the application of the learned concepts. Creative activities. Activities that provide the use of imagination and expression of one's feelings, thoughts, and ideas about the insight acquired.
Solving real-world problems. Performance and demonstration of skill mastery. Authentic projects. PowerPoint presentation. Brochure. Performing a song, rap, or musical. Mock debates or mock trials. And organizing a symposium.
Number 3. Concluding activities. These are activities students engage in as a part of the application of the newly acquired knowledge. They may come in a form of wrap-up, after which students submit the summary in outline form. Examples of these are journal writing at the end of the period and lesson summary. Characteristics of effective learning activities. There are 9 characteristics. Number 1. Align with course outcomes. Number 2. Focus on student learning. Number 3. Have a compelling purpose. Number 4. Have a clear objectives. Number 5. Support the type of learning desired. Number 6. Balance content and skill development. Number 7. Support the needs of diverse learning styles. Number 8. Include assessment of student learning. And number 9. Include assessment of the activity.
Number 1. Align with course outcomes. Learning activities are designed to develop learning that supports course outcomes. All learning activities should support course outcomes, and all course outcomes need to be supported by learning activities. Number 2. Focus on student learning. The purpose of any learning activity is student learning. All components of the activity should focus on that goal. The teacher should not do anything for the students that they can do for themselves. Weimer 2002. Number 3. Have a compelling purpose. Activity cannot be successful if the students do not recognize their value and importance. Number 4. Have clear objectives. Each activity has the potential to provide a combination of information, solution, methodologies, and the opportunity to develop specific learning skills. These objectives need to be specifically identified. Number 5. Support the type of learning desired. The learning activity must be appropriate for the type of learning called for in the learning objectives. Not all concepts, tools, processes, contexts, ways of being, or rules are well served by the same types of learning activities. Number 6. Balance content and skill development. Learning objectives should specify the proper balance between content and skill development. When a learner is exposed to something for the first time, content will typically receive most of the attention. Later, the learner will want to focus on developing skills by applying this new content. Number 7. Support the needs of diverse learning styles. Learners have a variety of preferences for how they learn new material. Felder and Silverman, 1988. When constructing an activity, it is important to consider which type of activities will address the preferences of multiple learning styles. It is also critical to use a variety of learning activities in a single course to be inclusive of all learning styles. Number 8. Include assessment of student learning. If student learning is the goal of an activity, the assessment of student learning should be integrated into the activity itself. Wiggins and McTee, 2005. An activity cannot be successful if it has not produced the targeted student learning. Learning must therefore be assessed based on predetermined performance criteria. And last, number 9, include assessment of the activity. Upon completion of an activity, facilitators and learners should assess the learning activity itself. The results of this assessment should strengthen the future development and application of the activity.
Principles in selecting learning activities. Number 1. Learning activities should relate back to the lesson objectives. Number 2. Learning activities must suit the learner's level. Number 3. Learning activities must also be correlated with the teaching methods used. And 4. It must also suit the subject matter at hand. Number 5. It should fit the time and context of the teaching situation. 6. Learning activities must be active. 7. It must be multi-level varied and well-sequenced. 8. It should engage students with the most direct experience possible. And 9. It should consider the loss of learning, the principles of multiple sense appeal, and the development of the whole being. Determining instructional materials. Instructional materials. These are the tools used in educational lessons, which includes active learning and assessment. It is also an educational resources used to improve a student's knowledge, abilities, and skills, to monitor their assimilation of information, and to contribute to their overall development and upbringing. It can also be referred to as the human and non-human materials and facilities that can be used to ease, encourage, improve, and promote teaching and learning activities. They are whatever materials used in the process of instruction. They are a broad range of resources which can be used to facilitate effective instruction. They indicate a systematic way of designing, carrying out, and employing the total process of learning and communication, and employing human and non-human resources to bring out a more meaningful. Basic guidelines in the use of instructional materials. We have 4 basic guidelines in the use of instructional materials, and these are the following. 1. Selecting the materials. 2. Preparing the class for the audiovisual materials. 3. Guiding the pupils through the audiovisual experience. And 4. Following up the audiovisual experience after its completion.